Good morning, everybody, and a happy Saturday morning. You guys, I'm not going to lie. I feel like I have ADHD when I was doing this video because beyond the royal family stuff, there is so much Harry Meghan stuff. It's like a mishmash, but we are covering the big stories of the day, including Harry's appearance in New York alone. That's right. There's a lot to cover in here. We have updates on the court case. We have updates on Meghan's Emmy nomination. We have a new Emmy nomination or another award nomination for somebody else. There's just so much. There's so much. Stick with me, you guys. Let's jump in. Let's get busy. Let's go. We are going to start off with Princess Anne. She went to a Play for Change sports initiative in Thailand, where Princess Anne first toured a school by the name of Chumchon Muban Patana, which is located in Bangkok, Thailand. She went classroom to classroom. She toured the school. She met a lot of the students. She received a beautiful flower garland, a traditional floral garland from one of the students. Before she went out to what I call it the gym area. I'm sure it's not a gym per se, but you see the stage in the back there. So what this is it's an initiative sponsored by Save the Children and the Liverpool FC Foundation. And this program brings together children and youth from Bangkok's urban communities and border areas. And the idea is to build confidence, well-being, and teamwork through sport. Of course, Anne gave a speech, and during her address, she highlighted the value of sport far beyond competition, noting that it teaches resilience and the ability to deal with both success and failure. Notable at that event was former footballer named Emil, I hope I'm saying this correct, Heskey. And they ran some programs that were featured, and they showed training drills led by professional coaches. And there were about 60 young people from marginalized urban areas and remote border communities that were there. Looks great. Let's continue. Now, the next event, which took place on July 16th, met King Rama X, is the way they're putting it, and that's how I'm going to call him, and Queen Suthida. And they received Anne and her husband at Amphorn Sathin Residential Hall, Dusit Palace. Just as an FYI, these may not be in the exact order. She may have done this before the football event. Anyway, it is noted that everybody was wearing black because the royal court is in mourning. Anne and her husband were taken to what they're calling the royal remains at the palace of the late queen so that they could pay their respects. Then they sat down to have a chat. Now, do you guys remember how every time there's a royal that visits the palace, they put out on a table things from that country, from the royal collection, so that people go down and they look at all of the different things? So I'm pretty much sure that's what they did here. But if you notice at the very beginning, there was a picture. Well, that picture was from Anne and her husband. Yeah. So they keep the collection of things. They go down the line. They look at the collection, the same stuff that happens in the UK when people come there to visit. I've noticed there were a lot of items there from Queen Elizabeth or about Queen Elizabeth. Very nice. Looks like they had a very nice visit. Good for them. They were seen leaving the palace afterwards. Now, the next thing that happened, they didn't go, as far as I know, as far as I can tell, they didn't go at the same time. But the UK ambassador from the UK to Thailand, along with his husband, was also granted an audience to pay respects and bid farewell to his duties. I guess he's leaving. Now, again, I don't know if this was before or after, but on the same day, Anne and her husband were received by the Prime Minister at the Government House in Bangkok. Also there on the same day, besides the Prime Minister, was the Interior Minister. Again, this happened on July 16th. They sat down and they were discussing strengthening UK-Thailand ties, youth development, promoting women's roles in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which is STEM. Of course, her husband was there with her. Now, both sides also highlighted the importance of strengthening international collaboration in public health and medical research to tackle new emerging diseases. Again, there was a place to go and pay their respects to their last queen that had passed away, and they did so. And then they sat down for a chat like they usually do. Looks again like they had a really nice visit. The Prime Minister said it was a great honor to welcome Princess Anne because he had admired her since childhood. He said her visit was very meaningful for the Thai people, and she did lay the wreaths in tribute to the Queen Mother and the princess who passed away not that long ago. Princess Anne thanked the Thai government for their warm welcome and recalled fond memories of her previous visits to Thailand. She also paid tribute to the Queen, praising her dedication to the country. The royal also expressed her condolences over the recent fire in Thailand and commended the rescue workers and the agencies involved in the response, and she personally presented a message of condolence to the Prime Minister. Oh, very nice. Now, at one point, I had to show you this because at one point they wanted Anne to sign something, probably a guest book. And I find this amazing. She walks up, there's pens right there, but no, she opens her purse, reaches in, and she's digging around in her purse for a pen. She's just not going to use the pens that are there. In the meantime, the guy to the left, you didn't see it at first, but he actually, she did finally pull a pen out of her purse, but he actually reached into his jacket pocket because he was going to pull out a pen on his own. And then they told her where to sign. She was like, where do I sign? I mean, it was just so funny. They then waved goodbye and Anne moved on. Now, interestingly enough, that night, I believe it was, Princess Anne attended an official birthday celebration for King Charles held in the ballroom of the Four Seasons Hotel in Bangkok. In attendance at this birthday party were cabinet ministers, business executives, and leaders from all across Thailand. I happen to love that color dress on her. I think she looks lovely. She did lead a speech. She gave a toast. Yeah, all in all, I think this trip has gone very well for her. Now, this is not the end of her trip. There was another day and more information, but of course, we're probably just going to cover that on Monday because once again, we have a lot to cover in here and don't want to make a 30-minute video and have to split it. So this trip for Anne is not over. It's going to continue. There's still more to cover and we'll cover it in the next video. But I do think she looks lovely. And so far, I think this trip has really, really been a big thing for her and it's been a success. That's my opinion. All right, let's move on. Now, as for Charles and Camilla, let's move on to them. On the same day, July 16th, they visited the Hall and Woodhouse Badger Brewery Bar in Dorset to help the family-owned establishment kick off its 250th, that's 250, anniversary festivities. The king tried his hand at pulling pints in the brewery's Firsty Ferret Amber Ale and Tanglefoot Golden Ale, joking as he took a sip that it was a good day to drown a few sorrows. While they were there, the two of them, the king and the queen, met a number of the organization's chef and brewing apprentices, as well as the team behind the local Teddy Rocks Festival, which is a charitable event which the brewer and pub operator has supported since 2019. The festival has raised more than £1 million for children's cancer charities. How lovely. The company chairman and seventh generation custodian, Anthony Woodhouse, said that it was a big privilege to welcome the king and queen to that area. It was a remarkable moment for the business. They were very happy. When they were done in the pub, they headed outside because they were moving on to the next event of the day. There was a lot going on, and there was a large crowd of people to meet them. They're very popular. People really, really like them. They walked around, they greeted the people, and then they made their way to the town hall, which had been completely redone and refurbished. It's also the corn exchange. That was interesting. So one of the first things was Camilla saw an adorable baby hedgehog from Dorset Hedgehog Rescue. While Charles was in the town hall, he saw the newly restored George II Royal Coat of Arms. And this building, just as an FYI, was built in 1734. I think they were very happy to be part of the forum there. Charles spoke with producers of food. They were highlighting the best of the British food and farming. He went outside. He saw the farmers market. This is a happening place. Just as an FYI, while they were inside the main hall at the town's historic corn exchange, they watched a special performance by the Dorset Opera, as well as meeting with representatives from the different local organizations. And of course, they unveiled a plaque. Fabulous. A big thank you to Carol M. for showing us what the Queen was wearing on this day. Let's move on to Prince William, who put up a lovely message. He apparently was really gutted when England was defeated in the World Cup. So he put up a lovely message telling them to hold their heads high, that they did a great job. They did do a great job. I thought they did a great job. Let's continue. Moving on July 17th, Queen Camilla celebrated her 79th birthday, and Buckingham Palace released a new portrait, as well as a lot of pictures were released by the Queen's reading room, showing her doing all the different things that she does. We know that she's a long-standing leader of initiatives to inspire reading. She's patron of several charities that encourage literacy, and she takes part in outings to promote the excitement and joy of books, and of course her own charity that started as a podcast and now has literary festivals. All right, let's move on really quick to this story about Eugenie. This one kind of made my hackles jump up. She's pregnant, she's going to have a baby, and they're saying that her number one priority is having the baby with absolute minimum of fuss, and she doesn't want the hospital turning into a circus, and so her parents are not being allowed in the delivery room. Is that a joke? Who has their parent? Okay, some people do, but I wouldn't want my parents looking at my vajayjay while I'm giving birth. Give me a break. Anyway, they're saying that her parents aren't taking it well, and she's getting pushback from her parents, and they're fuming, and it's a personal insult. Yeah, whatever. All right, let's move on to our Harry Meghan stuff. Stories like this is such crap. Harry was, the door was shut on him because William decided to play his charity polo cup at Windsor, and it was a deliberate act. Dude, he does that every year. There was nothing deliberate. If anything, it was Harry trying to take the attention. I don't understand why the press is turning on William. All right, Meghan, she's trying to rehab her image. Do you guys remember this?
We've had MasterChef royalty in the kitchen before, but no one like this. All the way from sunny California, please welcome to MasterChef Australia, the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle!
Meghan used her royal title, and now she's getting backlash for being introduced as the Duchess of Sussex and for them making food fit for a duchess. And so she's upset. She didn't want that. Really? Well, they could have retaped it if that was the truth. Now, of course, people are going to mock her because, number one, she continues to use the Duchess of Sussex royal title. She's totally leaning on her royal connections. And number two, we already know her cooking credentials are not real. She can't cook. Everything she did in her show was a ripoff. Moving on, for those of you who don't know already, you should, that Meghan's show, With Love Meghan, secured the official Daytime Emmy nomination for Outstanding Lifestyle Series. It's being reported in Town and Country magazine that Archwell Productions can and frequently does submit its shows for Emmy consideration. Under the Television Academy and National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences rules, production companies or creators themselves can submit eligible content directly to the appropriate categories. The entries are then reviewed and voted on by the Academy's peer groups. So in the case of With Love Meghan, Archwell Productions was listed on the ballot as the credited production company alongside Netflix. So their submissions are officially recognized. So she has to nominate her own shows. Now, on the other hand, guess who just got a real nomination for a real show? And that would be Eugene Levy. The episode of The Reluctant Traveler featuring Prince William has received a 2026 Primetime Emmy Award nomination. No wonder. It was nominated for Outstanding Writing for a Nonfiction Program, and the whole series has been nominated for an Outstanding Hosted Nonfiction Series or Special. All right, let's move on to Harry. They're saying that Harry is dragging Baroness Lawrence down with him after what happened with the privacy suit and with the statement that he made about the ruling. Let me remind you that in response to the verdict, Harry and Doreen Lawrence put out a statement that branded the outcome a, quote, complete and obvious whitewash, and he claimed that it was not altogether unexpected. He also said that it was a complete reversal of the position which previous judges had taken in relation to the hacking claims that were successfully brought against News Group newspaper and Mirror Group. Basically, he said since he won the other cases, he should have won this case too. And he also said the lengths to which the court has gone to exonerate the male is as shocking as it is unwarranted. Two former justice briefs, Alec Chalk and Robert Buckland, have come out and said absolutely not, that the remarks are, quote, expressing disagreement with a judge. And you can do that, and that's perfectly reasonable. But Harry's attack on a high court judge was over the top, personal, and unacceptable. He emphasized judges serve in the monarch's name, they swear allegiance to the sovereign, and that insulting one of the judges is a line he should not have crossed. Now, the other guy said that the criticism was inappropriate in both tone and content, and suggested that Harry could have simply expressed deep disappointment and indicated he was going to seek advice on his options. Apparently, there's some threats being made against some of the judiciary people, and it's being said that at a time when the judiciary is facing increasing threats to their security, it is important that major figures in public life and members of the royal family exercise restraint. Well, we already know that Harry can't restrain himself. That's why Meghan always has her hands on him, because she's having to make sure, because he's so unpredictable, you never know what the hell's going to come out of his mouth or what he's going to do or say next. That's exactly what we discussed in the last video. Harry is completely unpredictable. But yeah, he's on the hook for $58 million, probably more, because the same judge that he admonished is going to make that ruling. Idiot. All right, let's go back to the meeting. If you can believe this, Meghan is now stating that she's the one who had the private meeting with King Charles, and that it was Harry and the children who had to wait. I mean, way to try to spin it. I mean, guys, more leaks have come out just this week. Some of Harry and Meghan's sources spoke to Vanity Fair and talked about the private meeting. It lasted for an hour. It was cloak and dagger. It was orchestrated by the king. And now they've opened up about their trip to Britain and their private meeting. I mean, this is ridiculous. These two just cannot keep their mouths shut. Drip, 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 drip. They can't help themselves. They crave being on top of the headlines. It's their oxygen. They can't live without it. And every leak, every whine, every calculated reveal is pure fuel for them. It's pathetic, it's predictable, and it's never ending. So they've already failed their test. Let's see what happens next. I had to touch on this story. We know that Buckingham Palace official reason for withdrawing Harry's accommodation offer was he delayed his acceptance past the deadline, making last-minute staffing and security impossible. However, insiders are saying the real reason was to protect staff morale. Apparently, some of the employees didn't want to be around Harry, and the king wanted to avoid forcing employees to serve someone that they felt uncomfortable hosting. Totally get it. Why force people to work for someone they don't want to work for? Now, moving on, we know that during the recent trip, Harry, Meghan, and their kids stayed at Althorp Park, which is the Spencer family's 13,000-acre estate, and it's where Diana is buried. And they're saying that they're going to be using material from her visit for her planned future television series about Diana, which they've already pitched to Netflix. And of course, doing that is just going to damage the monarchy even further. And that's where you have to stop and go, wait a minute. This whole thing about the royal family and Harry wanting to get back in with them. We know that Harry deliberately irritates the royal family and William in particular. He sets up events to clash. He said things about Trump right before the state visit. And then he said things about the judge in the case. If Harry really cared about his family, he'd shut up. But he can't do that. And this whole visit that he made to the UK is difficult because support for the monarchy is dropping and the king should be concentrating on William, not his man-baby second son. So William has been very careful to keep his children away from Harry and Meghan, and he's hoping his father will persuade the latter to stay away as well. Well, before we move on to what I consider to be one of the big stories of today, I want to go back to the podcast Harry was on. I want you to listen to this first. Just listen.
Yeah, sure.
The inventor? Would you call yourself the inventor or?
The inventor
Of
of the Invictus Games?
Yes.
Inventor? Founder?
founder.
Founder,
That's
yeah.
probably the better word.
All right, okay,
Yeah,
great.
fair enough. Yeah.
Duke/inventor, yeah. Do you know how to spell inventor? This is a different therapy session to what I'm used to. It's supposed to be made to feel comfortable.
Now, when Harry said, I'm the founder, and then he looks up at the guy and says, do you know how to spell that? I'm like, I would have thought that the guy was playing, but while people were laughing, look at his face. Look at the guy. So he actually looked really angry and irritated with Harry. I don't think the guy thought it was funny at all. So here we go. We know that with all the negative press, Harry and Meghan need to pick up some more meaningless awards. And we know that Times Magazine is a pay to play. They've already proven that. So Harry shows up in New York to make an appearance at the Times. Again, Times Magazine. They've paid time off before. 100's most influential people in sport. So he went to this event Thursday, July 16th. And while he was on the carpet, he made like a cheeky comment to one of the photographers because you guys are the most polite photographers I've ever met. Now, every article that's coming out now is going, this is right after he reunited with his father on the royal palace property. And I keep looking at these pictures. Isn't this the guy that said the flash of the cameras bothered him? Didn't he say that this just took him back to the death of his mother? I mean, come on, guys. I mean, he's so full of crap. And of course, the article went on about how he's a veteran, how he was inspired to create the games, how he did this, how he did that. Nothing about William or the Royal Foundation once again. And they asked him, what do you think about the fact that England lost?
Are you sad about England losing?
Of course.
So Harry goes into the event, he's walking around, he's schmoozing. You see him rubbing elbows with people who actually have earned their awards. But what I find interesting is that once again, Meghan is nowhere to be seen. For all we know, she's probably still in Althorpe taping more stuff for, their Netflix special. Nobody knows where this woman is. Maybe she had more plastic surgery and she doesn't want people to see her until her face heals up. I mean, who knows? But she is nowhere to be seen. Or maybe she went back to Portugal and she's hanging out with the kids there for the rest of the summer. I'm telling you, something is off in this marriage. I don't know if they have a private separation and in public they act lovey-dovey. I don't know what's going on. But it's very odd to me at this point that Meghan refuses to be seen with Harry. She has not been seen with Harry. And Harry's walking around. I got to be honest, he didn't look happy here. He doesn't look happy most of the time, but this specifically, look, let me zoom in a little bit on his face. Look at him. He's just like, yeah, she went back to Portugal with the kids. Yeah, maybe I'll see him in a week or two. Who knows? Let's be honest, guys. If Harry had won that court case, Meghan would be glued to his side at every event. You know it. I know it. And with that, you have to wonder what he said on the stage. Yes, I know I lost my court case. Yes, I know my wife won't come near me. Yes, I know. But I won an award. I mean, guys, this is so pathetic now, really. Well, 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 you guys know what I want. Put those comments down, make them good. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, a link to my father's book, which remains up for sale on Amazon, a link to my Amazon wish list, as well as a physical address. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.